Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Garrett DJ Deuce. It is Friday, December 26, 2014. Decided to stop procrastinating and record part one of two videos covering my updated game room for 2014 and 15. A couple of changes on there. I split my collection into two pieces, so video one will cover everything in my collection except for Nintendo, and then video two will cover my Nintendo collection, which is now in my home office. A little bit of history on my game room. I had everything in one room in the den downstairs, and as I ran out of space, I started adding more layering and shelves in the center of the room, and the more I did that, the less it felt like a game room and more like a game store. So after some feedback from a couple of friends of mine who stopped by to check out the room, I decided to split my collection into two and opened up a lot of space again. So without further ado, here is the main game room. We'll start by going downstairs and panning from the left to right, and then I'll go in depth on each section of my collection. Alright, so starting from the left, we have what I call the throwback section. Going to the right, got a slot machine, two arcade cabinets, a little Sega section, retro TV with a bunch of consoles hooked up to it. Got my HD TV. Oh, I gotta turn the PlayStation neon light sign on. There we go. Alright. Going around to the right, this is where all my Sony PlayStation collection resides. And then we're gonna go all the way around towards the wall. And then I'm sort of gonna pan to the left side of the game room, which we saw earlier, coming down the stairs. So the notable difference in my game room is a lot of carpet now. You can see a lot of floor. Right here where I'm standing, there was a Blockbuster shelf that had a lot of Nintendo items on it, and all my box systems for the Nintendo went all the way up to the ceiling, so it sort of blocked these that light. So it looked fairly dark. Going around this way, got a little original Xbox kiosk. This door leads to my home office, which has all the Nintendo collection in there. And then this little tiny island that has a few games and systems and whatnot. And of course this little cubby area where there are more games. So let's start with the left side. This is the throwback section. Actually, you know what? Let's start with my intake shelf. This shelf primarily houses all the things that I find throughout the week. It's things that I still have to task, clean, and put in inventory. I have an application on my iPhone that keeps track of all the game systems and games that I have. So we'll just kind of go down each shelf slowly. Excuse the glare, lots of room, and I've got my light on my phone, because there's still some areas in the game room that are fairly dark. And finally, the last of the games that I still have to sort out. There's a few in there, a little corner right there, and a couple of here. A couple of games here that I have to also plug into inventory. Alright, so let's go to the throwback section, excuse me. We'll start off with a complete in-box IntelliVoice, a complete in-box Intellivision system changer, which allows you to play 2600 games on the Intellivision. We've got a pair of IntelliVoice games complete in box. Got a ColecoVision that I got in a trade with a friend named Vernon. The single floppy disk for the Commodore 64, as well as a Commodore 64 system in the box. This is actually one of two. Going up here, I've got an Odyssey Magnavox 300. Got a Texas Instruments Home Computer 99 4A, which I picked up for $4, believe it or not. It was actually $7.99 and half off. Got an Atari 2600 complete in box that I got in a trade on Craigslist, as well as a 5200 complete in box that I got on Craigslist. The Intellivision 2, which I picked up from a friend who retired from collecting, and the second box Commodore 64. So the story on the Commodore 64, I'll just do a quick story. I paid $50 for two of these, complete in box. the single floppy disk, the printer, and the monitor for the Commodore 64, and a bunch of games. So 50 bucks for all that, random garage sale stop. Alright, so we've got some Atari glasses down there. Moving along to the mid shelf, or the middle of the shelf, we've got a couple of Atari 2600 games. Excuse the glare. Now this is 2 layers deep, so behind these are another stack of Atari 2600 carts. Then going to the right of that, we've got a Miss Pac-Man. These are all tabletop mini arcade games. A lot of these I had as a child. Miss Pac-Man, the original Pac-Man, Popeye Game & Watch, Galaxian, and finally Frogger. I am missing the Donkey Kong game. It's one of the other ones I had as a child, and I'm pretty sure there's other ones as well. So, alright, so this shelf here has some ColecoVision games, and some Atari 7800 games, as well as more Atari 2600 games hiding over there. And behind these games, I have my Atari 5200 collection back there. Not very many games for the 5200 that I have, so I just get them as I find them. Alright, and then on the bottom of the shelf, I have the Commodore 64 computer, the monitor for the system. That was part of that $50 bundle, as well as some games. I also have boxed games that are in a box somewhere in the other room. I haven't figured out where I'm going to put those yet, because space is kind of limited now. I don't want to keep putting up shelves. We have a Rubik's Race board game, which I used to play a lot when I was a kid. And the object of the game was to shuffle that cube right there, and whatever pattern came up, you had to use the tiles and slide them so that they, the center part of that. And you match the pattern, and you flip that little screen down, and then the fastest wins. Next to that, we've got a blackjack gin rummy electronic game. I had one of these as a kid, so when I saw this at a thrift store, I picked it up. Next to that, we've got an aircraft that's similar to something that I grew up on called a Starbird. There's some sensors on the engines right there, and there's a trigger. So when you raise the ship and you press the trigger, it's supposed to give you an ascending sound, and when you press the trigger and go downward, it gives you a descending sound. So it's kind of like a cool little motion censored aircraft. Next to that, we've got a pair of Atari 2600 game carrying cases. Next to that, we've got some custom Bionicles, which I build in my spare time. I had 3 of these. One was given to a friend. I basically take basic Bionicles and find pieces and colors similar to the main, like in this case, it was neon green, so I found other neon green pieces and green pieces, black, and sort of made a bigger samurai kind of looking robotic guy. Alright, so over here we have one of 3 slot machines. These are skill stop machines. I picked this up in Denver earlier in the year. I've got 2 others that didn't quite fit in this game room, so they're in a guest room right now. It takes tokens and quarters, and so it's a skill stop based slot machine. So what you do is you place your bet, pull the trigger down, and then you just have to stop the reels manually. Ooh, let's see if I can get 777s here. Nope. Maybe I can get some bells. There we go, I won. Anyways, pretty cool. It's got an LCD screen and whatnot. The kids love playing that. Alright, so below the slot machine, I've got some other electronic handhelds from back in the days that I used to play with. And it's Wildfire, the pinball game. We've got Split Second. We've got Merlin. A bunch of Rubik's Cubes. It's the Alexander Star, Square One over there. This is the Missing Link. I've got a couple of Magic Snake puzzles back there. Going down here, I've got, I don't know what the title of that one is, but you have to basically get all the same colors in the rows here. And then down in this empty shelf, I have a couple of loose Atari 2600 games that I haven't quite put away yet. So, and then next to that, we've got the Chess Challenger electronic chess game. This is from the 80s, and I used to have one of these, and I actually got this for free from the guy that sold me the Commodore 64 lot for 50 bucks. Moving along to the arcade cabinets. On top of the Tron cabinet, I've got an Atari Lynx kit case complete in box. an Atari Jaguar, Turbo Express, TurboGrafx 16, and the Turbo Duo. Right now, the Atari Jaguar and the Turbo Duo are hooked up. Are hooked up, so those boxes are empty. This Tron cabinet I picked up from Denver, Colorado. This costed me $420. Everything on it works. It takes the quarter slots work and everything as well. I didn't think I was going to be able to pick this up because of the competition in Denver in regards to arcade cabinets, but I lucked out and I was able to pick this up. So, played this game a lot as a kid in the early 80s. I used to always go to a laundromat after school because this one particular laundromat in San Francisco had this arcade cabinet, and I loved this game, so all I did was spend so many quarters on it. So very, very happy to have this and add this to my game room. Next to the Tron cabinet, I have a Neo Geo MVS cabinet. It's a single slot. On top of that, we've got a couple of TIE Fighters. This is a single slot cab. It's a repurposed cab. So I stuck a 161 cart in because it just made sense. It's got Last Resort demoing in there right now. Alright, next to that we've got the Sega collection. Starting from the top. The focus is like really bad. Starting from the top, we have a Model 1 Sega CD in the box. We have a Sega Master System. I want to make sure my light was on. I got a pair of Model 1 Genesis systems in the box, as well as a pair of Model 2s. Moving along to my game collection, we've got some Master System games, and I'll kind of go slow so you guys can see them. Moving down to the next shelf, I got a dual turbo wireless controller, and I believe I have an Arcade Motion dual plug-and-play thing down there in front of it as well. And some more Master System games, and the start of my Sega Genesis collection. And I'll kind of go slow a little bit. Next shelf down, I've got a long box Game Genie. I've got a Model 3 Genesis in the box. A pair of Sega Dreamcast fishing controllers. Got Tails plushie. Got Sonic and a race car. Alright, so we're going down to more Sega Genesis games. And I'll kind of go slow as well. There was a game called Haunting Something here that I traded with another Facebook member, so I have to kind of shift everything over when I have time. Alright, next shelf down, we've got Model 1 Sega Genesis with the Model 1 Sega CD. Next to that, we've got a Model 2 Sega Genesis with the Model 2 Sega CD. And a pair of arcade fighting sticks for the Sega Genesis. Last shelf. A couple of VMUs complete in box. The green VMU that's in there, that was supposed to be in that box, is actually in a controller right now. So as soon as I'm done with that, I will put that back in the box. Got a complete in box Sega Dreamcast. Below that, we've got a Sonic 10th Anniversary Edition kind of collector's item. It features a CD that has all tracks from all the Sonic games. Got a little book that says Happy Birthday Sonic on it. And a commemorative coin. So that's a pretty cool little piece to have in the collection. Next up, I've got a Sonic plush that's sitting on top of a pair of Sega Dreamcast controllers complete in box. And there's a Sega Dreamcast keyboard. Let's put him back up there. Next to that, we've got a Dreamcast Millennium 2000 controller loose on top of a Sega Sports Dreamcast, which is the black colored one. I need to find a box for this, so if anyone has one for sale or trade, please comment below. Next to this shelf, more Genesis stuff. We've got the Menacer. We've got a complete in box 32X with Knuckles there just kind of chilling. Next to that, I've got a couple of imported Dreamcast games. Got a Tails figurine that's in front of a small box Game Genie for the Sega Genesis. And we have more Genesis games, and I'll go slow on these again. Alright, on the third shelf, got a bunch of loose Master System games and Sega Genesis titles. And then I have a couple of premium titles in the front here. I've got Musha, Grindstormer, Splatterhouse 3, Mega Turrican, and Virtua Fighter for the 32X. Below that shelf, got a couple of more loose Sega Genesis carts and some complete-in-box Game Gear games. Next to that, we've got the Sega Nomad. We've got a blue Game Gear. Below that, more Genesis games. And right below that, got a couple more. And some 32X complete-in-box games as well. Alright, on the floor here we've got a Sega Game Gear case that houses a black Game Gear with a loose Game Genie, TV tuner, and a couple of battery packs. I'm not going to open this up right now. And then we've got Sega Dreamcast games on a shelf here, a little CD tower. So I'm going to kind of go up slowly. Now this collection was about triple the size of what it is now. But my grandmother passed away last year, so I had to sell a lot of my Dreamcast games, Sega CD games, and Saturn games to fund that trip. Got a complete sealed Gigawing that I got as a gift from a Facebook member named Jesse. Thank you very much. Alien Front Online complete in box, as well as a complete in box Millennium 2000 controller. Next to that, we've got a Sega Genesis Classic Game Console with 80 built-in games. It can also play Sega Genesis carts. Got an ASCII stick for the Dreamcast. We're going out of focus here. To the right of all this, we've got an RF unit complete in box, a Sega Saturn complete in box, and a Sega CD complete in box. Got my Retro Tube TV. On top of that, we've got two basic Bionicles. And what's playing on the TV right now is ActRaiser 2 on the Super Nintendo. To the left of my TV, I've got a couple of Sega Saturn goodies. The Ultra Madness 4M Turbo Key, the Memory Card Plus, and a multi-game cartridge for the Sega Genesis. Can't believe this guy wanted 59 bucks for this. I didn't pay that, of course. I picked all those up from a store that was going out of business, so got those for way less than 50% off. That was our honey hole that finally closed down. Okay, so this right here is a PS2 Slim. It's the Japanese imported version of it. I don't have a box for it, but I'm going to hook this up because I do have some imported PS2 games that I wanted to play. Next to that, we've got a Platinum GameCube with the Game Boy player and a Wavebird. And this is just advanced game port, play Game Boy, advanced titles on your GameCube. So that's what that disc is. All right, moving down. Underneath the TV, we've got a white Sega Saturn with a NetLink back there. Got a top loader NES. CDX is kind of dusty. I gotta dust these consoles off soon. Super Nintendo. Turbo Duo. Pikachu N64. What was in this slot was a Neo Geo AES that I had here for a while. I ended up selling it to a collector in Denver because I already have an MVS cabinet, a Neo Geo X Gold, so it was kind of redundant to have an AES. Plus, I just can't afford the games for it. Not a lot in the wild for cheap, so I have to always look online to get games. And then I have an Atari Jaguar with Kasumi Ninja in there. Moving along. Latest addition to the game room is this one of two shelves. This shelf houses most of my TurboGrafx 16 games and Atari Jaguar games. At the very top, I have China Warrior. I have Dungeons and Dragons Order of the Griffin. And then I have a bunch of TurboGrafx 16 games. at the time of the last video, the TurboGrafx 16 was my weakest collection, but I managed to buy a little lot off of a game store for pretty cheap. He charged me only loose prices for most of the games. So I'm glad that this collection grew a little bit. Got an extra TurboGrafx 16 controller, and below that, all my loose Atari Jaguar cards. Alright, so moving along, underneath that, we've got my Xbox 360 tower, which has my daily driver. This is a 320 gigabyte Xbox here. Underneath that, I have a loose Halo 3 edition Xbox 360. I also have one complete in box as well, and you'll see that later on in the video. Next to that, we've got Pitt, who's still guarding my Zelda Wii U. That's my subwoofer down there. That's the Wii U over there. And my 60-inch HD TV. Above that, the PlayStation 2 neon sign, my Kinect. Got Death Smiles in there. Alright, so below the TV, I've got, this is a Blade Runner Collector's Edition DVD set. I've got a pair of Nintendo 64 drawers that I have games in here. I have to actually move this to the Nintendo room. That's the second one. Got a turbo stick above that. Some random Blu-rays. And I've got two Mortal Kombat fighter sticks for the Xbox 360. One I got in Hawaii. The other one I got complete in box at a pawn shop. And below there is the wireless steering wheel for the Xbox 360. I've got my Rock Band 3 drum kit right here. And this is what I use to play Rock Band 3. I like to play the drums and the guitar, and once in a while sing. Alright, so next to the HD TV, I've got another shelf similar to that one. The lighting sucks. But this one houses some of my my premium PS1 titles like Strider 2, R-Type Delta, Tales of Destiny 2, Arc the Lad Collection, Lunar 1 and 2, and then just some random titles that I picked out of my collection to display on this shelf. So I'll just go to that shelf and that shelf. Alright, underneath all of that, we've got some PS3 controllers, because this is a PS3 tower. Got a couple of SOCOM type rifles on the side. Extra controller, and then my 320 gigabyte PS3 Slim. And just in case that decides to crap out, I've got a backwards compatible over here, just waiting in the wings to be hooked up in case of emergency. Alright, so moving along, we've got the PlayStation section. I'm going to step back so you can see the overall collection. This is 2 shelves worth of PS1 games. And above that, we've got a couple of Legend of Dragoon characters. We've got Rose up here, a couple of Japanimation figures up there, Inuyasha, Naruto, and then that's Shauna from Legend of Dragoon. We get in focus here. We've got a Devil Summoner 2 Collector's Edition. We've got a pair of PS2 Slims, silver color. A pair of black PS2 Slims. Got a PS2 online pack, which is the fat. Below that, we've got a Ratchet & Clank Japanese imported PS2 bundle. Little pocket station down there, loose. Vertical stand complete in box. Got a pair of PS2 Fats in the box. The Lunar hand puppet with a PS2 hat above it. Taiko no Tatsujin 2, or also known as Taiko Drum Master in the United States. Those are the characters for it. Got a PS2, PS1 in the box, the black box. PS1 in the gray box, silver box, excuse me. And the LCD screen. I hear there's another variant of that LCD screen box, so I've got to track it down and get it. I'm a big box variant fan. That's why I have so many systems in the box, because I end up finding one that's different than the others. So all these PS4 boxes are different variants. And they did I say PS4s? All these PlayStations are, you know, in the box, and they're all different box variants. Below that, we've got my PlayStation collection. I think I have somewhere a little over 400 titles, maybe 500. And I'm just going to go over the rows slowly. I'm not going to really cover every single title that's in there, but just enough so you guys don't get dizzy. And then the bottom shelf. And they're all in alphabetical order as well. So the second shelf, just kind of go over here a little bit. Below that. And where that divider is where I have all the rest of my PS1 games that are waiting to be alphabetized. And I got a couple of PAL PlayStation Magazine games, well, demos. That Wipeout is actually a PAL game as well. Below that shelf, got a couple of more Japanese imported PS1 games, a pair of Mega Memory cards, and 4 wireless PS2 controllers. Is it PlayStation 1 or 2? I believe it's 2, but they all come with the receivers. And then below that, all my long box games, and I'll kind of go slowly. Got a pair of multi-taps complete in box and the RFU adapter. Next to that, I've got an audiophile PS1. And then, let me just... got a PlayStation 2 kiosk. The iToy attachment up here actually didn't come with the kiosk. It's funny because I found this at a flea market, and the following month I found a PS2 kiosk. So I picked this PS2 kiosk off of Craigslist for $140. It's got Shining Force Exa demoing in it right now. That did not come with the kiosk. The kiosk was basically the kiosk, the system, the controllers, and the box for the PS2. Alright, so behind on the kiosk, I have an extra PS2 FAT that needs a box, as well as an assault rifle controller for the PS3 hiding behind there. And then we have the Great Wall of PS2. This is the biggest part of my collection down here. I'll just kind of zoom out so you can see the entire... There's 3 shelves of PS2 games, and then PSP starts at the very bottom and goes to the 4th shelf here. So let's go over some of the stuff that's on top of these shelves. I've got a pair of Taiko Drum Master Taiko drums. Got the hard drive for Final Fantasy Online. I've got 3 GunCon big box PS2 games. Underneath that, I've got Guitar Hero 1 and 2. That's the game and the guitars. Got about 5 DDR big boxed PS2 games. These are just the mats in the game. Up there, I've got the Mortal Kombat Fatality controller. I've got 3 Street Fighter themed controllers. 2 are for the PlayStation, 1 is for the Xbox. Got the NASCAR steering wheel for the PlayStation 2, complete in box. Beatmania controller, and that's a character from Death Note. Tekken 5 Ultimate Collector's Edition. This comes with the joystick, the fighter stick, the game, and a special edition DVD case. Below that, got the Atari Lynx Generation 1 and 2 with some complete in box and loose games.
I don't believe in destiny. I don't.
Next to that, got a Gundam figure standing guard over a loose PS1. Got a PSP Go with the case and audio and video cables. Next to that, I've got a pair of PS2 DVD remotes, an empty PSP case, and a complete in box PSP 1001. And I'll just kind of go over some of the games that are on this shelf. I'll just slowly go downward. All alphabetized, going left to right. Alright, so let me go to the second shelf and we'll cover what's on the top of it. Got a 3-pack that you can buy at like Target or whatever, or Kmart. 3-pack of PS2 games that are complete in box. They're mostly sports. Got 3 PSPs complete in box, the Assassin's Creed Bloodlines version, the Final Fantasy edition, and a standard, I'm not sure if that's a 2000, oh, it's a 3000 series PSP. Next to that, I've got a white PSP Go, I've got a Cradle for the PS Vita, and I've got the white Assassin's Creed 3 Vita bundle, and a 3G plus Wi-Fi black PS Vita. Underneath that, we've got some color variants for the PSP. That's a God of War, that's the Star Wars, I think that's a Madden edition, and then the silver one. Another PSP 1001 complete in box, with some memory cards hiding up there for the PS2. That's my extra loose PS Vita. I got that recently in a trade with a coworker. And we're going to go over some of the games on this shelf. Alright, so we're going to go to the third shelf. A little divider I picked up from a dumpster dive. It's pretty cool that it's just in the middle. I wish I had another one because I'd like to put those between the shelves. It adds a little character to it. But up on the third shelf we've got a PSP Go, PSP component AV cable I picked up for $5 in Hawaii. As well as a Time Crisis 4 GunCon 3 game. Actually, I didn't pick that up in Hawaii. It's a PS4 complete in box, and then below that, all the games in the final shelf of PS2 games. In the middle, we've got a little mini Street Fighter vs. Tekken arcade piggy bank. Some loose PS2 titles that I don't have cases for, like Drakengard 2, Ape Escape Pumped and Primed, Ninja Assault, just a bunch of games. A bunch of PS1 games as well. This is an empty PSP case for when I go traveling. It's got a little 4GB memory stick over there. That stack of loose PSP games is what I took with me to Hawaii, so I still have to put them back in their respective cases. These two cases here contain loose PS2 titles with the manuals, and that's my PS Vita carrying case for when I travel. And continuing on with more PS2 titles.
I don't believe in destiny.
I don't. There's no way you're getting the power.
Gonna have to make this video quick because my low battery just went on my phone. And then it ends down there with Dot Hack. Then I got a Game Shark 1 and 2, and then a few Japanese imported PS2 games. And my PSP collection starts right there. So the fourth shelf, top of that we've got Soul Calibur 4 and 5 collector's editions for the PS3. That's the Onimusha sword controller for the PS2. A couple of characters, Japanimation characters up there. One hiding back there. Got a couple of more figurines and Spawn. And then my PSP collection, and I'll actually go shelf to shelf on this one. The PSP is an excellent system, handheld. When it first came out, grabbed it, was just blown away. And then when they introduced, you know, the PS1 games that you could download onto it, I was hooked. And of course, you can jailbreak them, you know, hack them, run custom firmware, and play emulators on there. So far, it's the best handheld for playing emulators on there. The only emulators that I've had problems with speed and everything and performance was the Sega Saturn emulator, which I don't think anyone can emulate properly, as well as the Nintendo 64 emulator. Some games are just way slow. So we got a couple of UMD movies here. And then it goes into PS3, and I'm not going to go through every single row for PS3. I'll just kind of step back. As soon as PS3 games start to continually drop in prices, I'll pick up more and try to go for a full set. But for now, I'm just going to, you know, pick the titles that I, you know, want to play, or if they're cheap, then I'll pick them up. This is a great beat 'em up game. Well, it's not a beat 'em up, it's a fighter game. Aquapaza. Got a PlayStation CD case, a couple of them, another Vita carrying case. Down here I've got an empty PSP case for traveling. That PS2 Slim is an extra one. Got some Vita games right here. And then next to all this stuff, I've got some incoming titles that I have to sort and categorize. And then below that, I've got a complete in box, network adapter, and controller for the PS2. This is a PS arcade fighter stick with a metal base. And that covers all the Sony PlayStation games and movies. Alright, so next to the shelf, that final fourth shelf, I have this 320 gigabyte box is actually empty. This is the one that's hooked up to the TV. I've got the Street Fighter 4 arcade fight stick. It's a limited edition, collector's edition actually, for the PS3. Behind that, I've got a fat PS3 80 gig. And these all have systems in them, by the way. As I said earlier, I'm a big box variant fan, and that's why I have so many of the same console. This is a MotorStorm 80 gig. Behind there is a Spider-Man 40 gig bundle. Yep. And the 40 gig, yep. And right here is the 80 gig backwards compatible Metal Gear Solid 4 bundle. And behind that is a 160 gig bundle, which is the Uncharted Drake's Fortune edition. I've also got some, you know, the 12 gigabyte PS3 Slimmer, and I believe a 120 gig one as well. But there's not enough display room for those. If I can get some kind of shelf mounted up on this wall, I may be able to display all the rest of my PS3 systems, but I got a ton. I think I have over 10 systems. Right, so this is the back of the Xbox original kiosk. We'll cover that in a minute. This big thing here is a Rock Band 2 kiosk. What's wrong with the lighting on this thing? There we go. Alright, so that neon sign I got for free from my boss. Up there we've got the Beatles Rock Band bundle. Finally got a monitor for this kiosk. I have to put an Xbox 360 Slim in it. But it comes complete. It comes with the microphone, the drums, the Xbox controller to control the microphone, and the drum pedal. And then we have two guitars that are tethered to the kiosk. And to the left side of the kiosk, we have a couple of Rock Band games. Rock Band 3, their first Rock Band, Rock Band 2, and the Beatles Rock Band. You can feel the air conditioning system in this thing. Got some side marquee. And then going to the right, some more side marquee art. Resident Evil 5 handbag couple of Street Fighter characters on these shelves. The bag just fell down. Let me just put this back up. Alright, so next to that, we've got my original Xbox kiosk. I picked this up at a pawn shop for 200 bucks, and it came with a 360 Slim and a generic 19-inch monitor and Grand Theft Auto 5. So what I did was I sold the Xbox 360 Slim plus the Grand Theft Auto 5 on Craigslist, and I got $180 for it. So this only costed me 20 bucks after I recouped off of whatever else came with it. It's got some side art here on the left and right side. Actually put a flat screen TV there in place of that generic monitor. And then below that, I decided to put the Halo Edition original Xbox in here because it kind of matched the theme of the kiosk a lot more than a lot better than the black one. I've also got the matching Halo controllers. Below the kiosk, I've got another special edition green Halo Edition Xbox, and it's funny because I traded some weird exotic looking knives that I got for cheap to an ex-military guy, and he had this in his garage, so that was a straight trade for those knives. Alright, so that's the subwoofer for the kiosk. Below, on the base of the kiosk, we have an Xbox Mountain Dew limited edition in there. I picked this up off of eBay. The system is in there. And finally, to complement the kiosk, I picked up this Xbox signage from a game store that closed down. It's basically the honey hole that I was talking about earlier in the video. This doorway leads to the Nintendo collection, which I'm not going to cover yet. I actually have to take those off too and put those in the other room. But behind the original Xbox kiosk, I have a shelf containing all the original Xbox games. Not all of them. I tried to go for a full run at first when I started collecting again, but I decided that it was kind of pointless to collect games that, you know, I would normally collect on the PS2, because the PS2 is my primary collection, and any cross-platform game that I find for the Xbox original, the PS2 takes precedence. For example, I picked up Fatal Frame 1 and 2 a few months back for the original Xbox, and I already have it for the PS2, so I decided to sell those. So this is what's left of my original Xbox collection. Got an Xbox wireless adapter that I picked up from ARC. I actually paid 20 bucks for that, I think. I can't remember. Down there I've got an Xbox Live starter kit for the original Xbox. Alright, so shifting over to the right, we've got Death Smiles for the 360 kind of hiding in between that and my 360 boxed variants. So we've got the Star Wars Special Edition Xbox 360, and all these systems are in here, by the way. I paid $150 for this. The Modern Warfare 3 edition I paid $150 for. This Xbox 360 Resident Evil edition I picked up, I can't remember the price, but I picked it up off of a Facebook member's cousin. And then finally, the Splinter Cell Conviction 360 Special Edition bundle. I picked that up at a garage sale. Next to that, I've got a small little DVD tower that houses some loose Sega CD and Saturn games in that spindle. A couple of Intellivision games. This is a pretty uncommon game for the Intellivision. Alright. Some Box 5200 games, some Atari Jaguar games, and the multiplayer adapter. And then some Japanimation movies. I love Japanimation. This is not in my entire Japanimation collection. I actually have a whole big box full of these, but they're in our sump pump closet area. So as soon as I can figure out how I can store more of these DVDs, I will pull those from there and display them out here. Alright, so the final part of my, well, second to final, this little cubby area that has all my Xbox 360 games. this collection actually slimmed down quite a bit as well. I was trying to collect every single Xbox 360 game as I could find them on the cheap, but these take up a lot of space, so I decided to cut back on it and only keep the collector's editions, and only on Xbox titles. Alright, so the Xbox 360 collection ends here. I have a couple of imported Sega Saturn games that I got for free, actually. A friend of mine who I do a lot of trades and I sell stuff to, whenever he comes across imported games, he usually just gives them to me because he can't resell them. He's a reseller. He also gave me a bunch of imported N64 carts as well for free. Okay, so then next up we've got my Sega CD collection, and this collection took a big hit when I had to go to Hawaii. I actually had about 3 shelves worth of, about 3 of those shelves worth of Sega CD titles, but I sold most of it off, as well as the Sega Saturn stuff underneath here. This is what remains of my Sega Saturn collection. I could fill one of these entire shelves with all the Sega Saturn games that I had in the past, but this collection also took a big hit. But it's okay, I can always rebuild. Plus, I wasn't really that much of a Sega Saturn player. I didn't play it as much as all the other systems, so that's why this and Sega CD and Dreamcast actually went to fund those 2 trips to Hawaii. Alright, so the final piece of my collection in the main game room is in this closet. Got a bunch of Microsoft items in here. So we'll start with the Silent Scope Light Rifle, which is for the original Xbox. I picked this up for 20 bucks from Level 7 Games. I got some tubs here. One has Xbox cords and cables, charge and play cables. Up there is a bunch of Sony PlayStation cables. Hiding back there is the HD DVD player. Got an Xbox 360 Elite complete in box. I actually have another one in here as well. That's the standard Xbox 360. Got a 4 GB Xbox 360 Slim, and this is the complete in box Halo 3 edition Xbox 360. Down here I've got 5 original Xboxes complete in box. Back there is just a standard variant. This one has the Sega GT 2012 and Jet Set Radio Future bundle game in it. Star Wars Clone Wars and Tetris Worlds bundle. And these all have systems in it, by the way. This is another generic system in the box. And this is a Forza Motorsport bundle. And next to that we've got the Rock Band 2 symbol kit. I actually have 2 more of these in another room that wouldn't fit in this closet, so as soon as I figure out a way to display those, I will, or I'll just leave them there. I've got a Ace Combat Fires of Liberation flight stick plus the game. This Tekken 6 limited edition joystick is actually sealed. It's never been opened. Okay, so then I have another standard Xbox 360, and behind that is another Xbox 360 Elite. And look at that original price tag, 450 bucks. Alright. Finally, on the bottom, we've got Cabela's Dangerous Hunts 2011. It's the rifle and the gun and the game. Got a Max Payne 3 Collector's Edition for the 360 down there. And finally, my complete in box Steel Battalion controller. This is for the original Xbox. And that pretty much completes my part 1 of the game room. I'm not sure when I'll be able to upload part 2. That's all Nintendo, so that one should be a quicker video. I do have a pretty extensive Nintendo collection, but not as much as everything else that's out here. So what I'll do is I'll do another quick pan of the game room from left to right. It's the throwback section, slot machine, the Tron and MVS cabinet, the Sega section, the retro TV and system section. This is where I play all my older console games. My HD TV, which probably just turned off my Xbox. Yep, it did. Neon sign up there. Rock Band 3 drum kit. And then we're going to the right. The Sony PlayStation section. This is PlayStation 1 and 2 consoles. That's all my PlayStation 1 games. The PS2 kiosk. The Great Wall of PS3. And over here is a PSP and PS3. The Rock Band 2 kiosk. I think the neon lights are screwing up the lighting on my camera. And the original Xbox kiosk. Finally, this little small island, it has my original Xbox games, some of my 360 variants, Intellivision games, and Japanimation DVDs. And finally, the little cubby hole that houses all my Xbox 360 games, as well as whatever's left from my Sega CD and Saturn collection. And of course, the closet that houses all the other Xbox 360 and original goodies. And that is pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will end this video by turning off the lights down here to put this room in arcade mode, as I like to call it, so we can see some of the things that light up this room when it's completely dark. Arcade cabs, PlayStation 2 neon sign, Xbox original, the original Xbox kiosk, the 360 neon sign, and finally my PS2 kiosk. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys liked the improvements that were done since the last video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And stay tuned for part 2, which should be uploaded within the next couple weeks. So until then, happy hunting to all, Shaka Brada, and peace.